All right, let's dive right in. Today we're heading to a river so vast that people who first saw it were convinced it was an ocean. And it's so mysterious, it's constantly rewriting its own history. We are uncovering the incredible secrets of the Amazon.
Now, calling it an entire planet, that might sound like a bit of an exaggeration, right? But stick with me, because you're about to see just how fitting that description is. This is a river that changes its name, its color, and yeah, sometimes it even flows in the wrong direction. It really is a world of its own.
So first things first, let's just try to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this thing. It's so immense that early explorers literally didn't think it was a river at all. They were convinced they'd found a freshwater ocean.
So what does this number even mean? 209,000 cubic meters per second. That's the volume of water, the sheer amount of it, that the Amazon pours into the Atlantic Ocean every single second. The power behind that is just mind-boggling.
And to put that in perspective, check this out. A full 20%, that's 1/5, of all the fresh water that enters all the world's oceans, from every single river on Earth, comes from this one source. That's not just a river, that's a global force of nature.
Or look at it another way. You could take the next 7 largest rivers in the world, add all their water together, and the Amazon still discharges more water than all of them combined. It's not just the biggest, it's in a category all by itself. It's not even close. Okay, just picture this for a second. You're standing on the bank of the river during the rainy season. It's 48 kilometers, that's 30 miles wide. You look out and you cannot see the other side. The horizon is just water. It's exactly like looking out over the sea.
And that, right there, is exactly why the locals gave it its nickname, the River Sea. It's not some poetic, flowery name. It's a literal description of what it feels like to be there.
But its size is just the beginning of the story. The Amazon's identity is way more complex than that. You know, it changes its name, it changes its color, and get this, even its claim to being the world's longest river is a matter of a pretty fierce debate.
So let's ask that classic trivia question. For decades, the answer you'd find in every single textbook was simple and straightforward. But was it actually correct? Traditionally, of course, the Nile takes the crown at 6,650 kilometers. But the story doesn't end there. See, scientists in South America, using satellite mapping, trace the Amazon all the way back to its true most distant source, way up in the Andes. And with this new data, the Amazon could be as long as 7,000 kilometers, which would make it the new champion. That debate is still raging.
And the river's identity crisis just keeps going. Look at this incredible sight. It's called the Meeting of Waters. The Rio Negro, which is this dark, acidic, almost black-looking water, flows right alongside the muddy, sediment-heavy Amazon. But because of major differences in their temperature, their speed, and their density, they flow side by side for miles without mixing. It creates this absolutely stunning two-toned river. Okay, so if you thought that was strange, things are about to get even weirder. The Amazon doesn't just challenge our sense of geography, it challenges time itself, with a history of flowing in the complete opposite direction.
100 million years ago, when South America and Africa were still connected as the supercontinent Gondwana, the ancient Amazon actually flowed west. But then, about 15 million years ago, the Andes Mountains began to rise up, forming this massive wall that blocked the river's path and forced it to completely reverse course, to flow east into the Atlantic like we know it today.
And what's really incredible is that a version of this reversal still happens today. It's called the Pororoca, which translates to the Great Roar. It's a tidal bore, basically a massive wave created by the Atlantic tide pushing its way upstream against the current. And this is no little ripple. We're talking about a wave that can be up to 4 meters high. And it's so powerful that it literally forces the Amazon River to flow backward for miles. This spectacular event happens in September and March, and it's become this legendary challenge for surfers who try to ride this single wave deep into the jungle.
So, just to recap, we have a river that acts like an ocean, can't decide how long it is, and even flows backward. But its biggest secret? Well, it wasn't on the surface at all. It was hidden deep, deep underground.
What if I told you that the mighty Amazon River we all know, the one with 20% of the world's river water, is only one of a pair?
Because 4 kilometers beneath the Amazon flows another river, the Rio Hamza. And as you can see, where the Amazon is wide, the Hamza is immense, up to 400 kilometers across.
But it's not a river in the way we think of one. Its speed is incredibly slow. We're talking millimeters per second. It's more of a massive seepage, moving through porous rock. A true ghost river, tracing the path of its big brother way up on the surface.
Now, obviously, you can't just see this river. Scientists discovered it back in 2011 by analyzing temperature data from over 240 old oil wells. These subtle temperature changes deep in the earth revealed the slow, massive movement of water, confirming that a hidden underground river was right there all along. From a ghost river below ground to the ghosts of the past, the final and maybe the biggest secret of the Amazon isn't about geology, it's about us. For centuries, we believed a story about the people who live there that just wasn't true.
For the longest time, the answer to that question was a firm no. The thinking was that the jungle soil was too poor, the environment too harsh, you just couldn't support large, complex societies or cities there. Well, as it turns out, that assumption was completely wrong.
Using LiDAR, this amazing technology that uses lasers to map the ground right through the dense forest canopy, scientists uncovered the remains of the Kasarabe culture. And what they found was astounding. Massive, 22-meter-high earthen pyramids, a complex network of canals, and kilometers of long, perfectly straight roads connecting a whole network of what can only be described as cities.
This was a sophisticated, urban civilization, thriving in the heart of what we all thought was untouched wilderness. But then, there's a mystery. Around the year 1400, for reasons we still don't understand, their cities were suddenly and completely abandoned.
So, from a river that acts like a sea, to one that flows backward, to a ghost river deep underground, and finally to the ghosts of a lost civilization, the Amazon has shown us that the more we look, the more secrets we find. It just leaves you wondering, what other mysteries are still waiting to be discovered beneath its canopy?